Good morning and welcome to the Senior Hour, which is sponsored by Santa Clarita In-Home Care and Advanced Audiology. I'm Barbara Cochran with my co-host,
Dr. Gene Dorio.
On your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. This is a show for, about, and by seniors, giving information to enhance one's quality of life. And our guest this morning is Alex Urbina, a life coach.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today.
I'm so glad you're here. And, of course, everyone in this valley has heard about Duane, the loss of Duane Hardy. I can't believe it myself. What a great man.
Well, and great because he did not sit back and wait for things to happen. Duane was always out there wherever you went, within the city, within this community, at schools, at the senior center. He was always somewhere helping out and making sure we all move forward together.
That's right. And I've been doing the Rent a Santa fundraiser for Santa, and now it's with the Domestic Violence Center. And he played Santa for us for 15 years.
Wow.
And I got an email from him Sunday afternoon saying, yes, he would do one more. I had him signed up for 4 visits. Mm-hmm. And everybody I've talked to they've said, what a loss to this community. And what a shock. Mm-hmm. It's words can't describe it.
Well, for me, they can because of what he did and what he's left behind, that legacy.
That's true.
Of giving to the community, but he's also put forward the honor of moving ahead for many, many outstanding projects that he started or participated in.
That's right.
You think about it. I mean, there are things up and down the street here in Newhall, throughout the Santa Clarita Valley and beyond that had his fingerprints on it.
You're right.
It was there.
Absolutely.
So, there are lots of words for Duane and, what he did and what he accomplished and how he helped all of us in the city and, around all the neighborhoods. He was there at City Council. He was there at the Senior Center. He did so many things to assure that, the new century would come in with a flurry, and he had continued that. And, that's why we miss him so much for all the things that he did.
That's right. And speaking of life, Alex?
Yeah, I'm here, really to open up some possibilities to see how we can really make this season be extraordinary. I got up this morning and got some clarity about some words I wanted to put on Facebook. And I started off my post with, don't let another Thanksgiving just happen to you. Decide that you can actually create your own Thanksgiving experience. I believe that subconsciously we don't realize that we have the power to create our own experiences. Like, we can consciously choose to make that effort or go the extra mile or ask somebody some questions or be interested in others or to draw the best out of people. And I think that when we're consciously choosing to be like that in the holidays, I think we're having a much more richer experience.
And the key word in there is just, because people do sit back and they go, okay, it's a holiday, I get a 4-day weekend, this is great, it's one time a year, and let me kick back and watch some football and have some turkey, and that's it. It's not just, there's meaning behind it. Like Veterans Day, there's meaning behind it. Thanksgiving, there's meaning behind it. But make it more meaningful. Just like you said, you have to create your own experience.
Well, the meaning is what you make of it. Mm-hmm. It's not meaning like, just because it's a national holiday or, somebody decided or a group of people decided that Thanksgiving was going to be on a certain day. Don't just live in the assumption that because it's a certain day that all of a sudden joy and happiness is just going to fall out of the sky and land on your lap. Mm-hmm. You have to be a participant in it. You have to
create it.
You have to create it, and a lot of it starts through your perspective, your own outlook, your own point of views. Can you look and find all the goodies that you're grateful for in your life, or do you not look at those and see those as goodies? Do you see them as, some negative things that are going on? So it's all about how you perceive your life, and it's really about you figuring out how to, sort through all the things that you don't desire and really focus on the things that you are grateful for. I remember when I was a kid, my dad used to take us and he would drive down some of the neighborhoods that weren't as fortunate as our family, and or we'd help out with my mom at different centers to help out with the community, and I would get a good look. They would put me in front of people that had it worse off than me. Mm-hmm. And they didn't necessarily say, hey, look, this person has it worse off. I would just see with my own eyes. Because when you're a kid, you're looking around going, wow. And that's where the compassion comes from. That's where my heart would break for some of these people. But it really opened up my eyes to realize, man, you know what? Sometimes when we think we have it really bad, we look at other people and go, man, I am living the riches right now. I'm just so blessed. Absolutely.
I feel the same way. So many things have happened in my life. I lost a son. I went through cancer. But this Thanksgiving, I will be among family. Russ and I have 19 members in our family. And that is incredible.
That is incredible.
Children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren.
You're blessed.
There are 19 of us. And Russ and I used to do Thanksgiving and Christmas for many, many years. And the past 3 years, I gave it up. And my daughter took it over. And, of course, there was no way we could get 19 people in our little house. But she has a much larger home. And now we're all going up there this afternoon to share and, just see everybody and be together.
Yeah, connect. For me, Thanksgiving is about connecting.
That's right.
It's about, sitting down with each other, looking at each other in our eyes, because I think a lot of times we don't consciously make eye contact with each other, but sit down and really maybe go to the backyard and, for the guys, let's go to the backyard, have a cigar, and sit down and say, hey, how have you been? Just make some eye contact and do some deep, meaningful conversations. Talk about your kids, talk about work, talk about, letting some of the stuff go. I think a lot of times, as human beings, we hold on to our resentments, we hold on to our guilt, we hold on to all the negative connotations that we have towards the stuff that we don't like. And we might not necessarily feel safe enough, and it has nothing to do with our partner or our wives or our spouses, but especially as men, I think we hold in a lot of stuff. And so maybe it's your uncle, or maybe it's a brother that you turn to and just you vent it out, and you feel good. You feel it's like a cathartic experience. And to me, I think those are the meaningful moments, is when you have permission to share like that.
That's right. And you made mention of the fact that men normally, I think it's something in their genes or whatever, but they don't share.
This is machismo.
Is that what it is?
This macho-ness that we got, or we got to be tough. We got to be strong.
Women share.
They do.
They really do. They share with each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
And men don't do that very much.
Women
they
have.
do.
Oh, well.
I have to defend the male side here.
Well, okay. Go ahead and defend it.
But you have 19 members of your family, and I have hundreds over at the senior center as a part of my family. I have over 100,000 here in the Santa Clarita Valley, and millions here in the state. That's my family.
I agree.
It's our country. This is the people that have molded me and have given me opportunity. This is my family. So I can go around, and when I say Happy Thanksgiving, I don't have to recognize and see somebody that I know. I want to put a smile on my face, and whether it's someone who might be homeless, somebody who's driving a nice car, doesn't matter. To me, I want to make sure that if something's letting them down, I'm going to, just that little look from me, a little acknowledgement from me will say, you're a part of my family. And that's how I look at it.
And
and we're all together. So,
you're important.
And especially the guys.
Yes, especially the guys.
who do pretty good, I think.
Well,
They try their best, but in the past it's always been they're the breadwinners and they're the
That's
turkey
right.
winners.
Well, this isn't. I don't think it's a diss on men. Men do share. From my experience, I don't think they share as deep as women. I think
That's
women give themselves
correct.
permission to be a little bit more vulnerable. And when you bring
That's
your
true.
walls down, you're a little more vulnerable. You have really deep, meaningful conversations. And guys will they'll go to the line and then they'll just
then
kind of
stop.
and
Yes.
they'll dance around it, but they don't give themselves permission to go a little deeper because, like I said, there's that mindset that I got to be strong for my family. I got to
Right.
keep it
It's the
together.
mindset.
I'm the gatherer, the hunter. I'm the protector. I need to stay this sharp. And if I bring my walls down and become vulnerable, it's a little scary for a man. I think I don't know what's going to happen, and there's the fear that comes up for them.
yeah, I think that's been from time
Yeah,
immemorial.
Yeah, we
It-
were
it's-
never going to escape that, but I think that as we examine who we are and where we come from and those sensitivities of being vulnerable, we do pretty good.
Well,
I think it was Dr. Laura Schlesinger. I mean, I used to listen to her, and she made a lot of sense to me. And I always said that I did get to meet her once. 70% I told her of everything you say, I agree with. And she kind of looked at me funny. She said, what about the other 30%? And I said, well, that's our point of agreeing and disagreeing.
Right.
And, there are a shade of gray for that 30% that I could talk to you about. But, it's still 70% is a great amount. But she and others allowed me to understand, to be more sensitive. And as a physician, I think that's even more important to understand that
yes.
concept, because if you're taking care of patients and you're not sensitive, which we see a little bit more commonly these days, that's a problem, because you're not going to then be able to make a diagnosis for your patient and ultimately make sure they get through life and their medical problems better.
Well, you are a rare breed. You especially, Gene, because you're one of few doctors who make house calls.
Well, others,
And I think-
thank you. And the thing is, I always wonder, why is it that I'm, at least relative to this, the exception? Because this should be the rule. Nowadays with that huge baby boom generation going into Medicare and getting home services and needing home services and want to stay there, we have to take care of them. And it doesn't
right.
make any sense economically or in any other way that we should not have doctors doing house calls. So that's a part of what we miss in our society, and I just don't think that, what I'm doing is unusual. I think that I'm ahead of the curve on that, but in 10 years and 20 years, there'll be more people doing what I'm doing, that's all.
Well, that's probably true. I know when I lived in England, my doctor, Dr. Lobo, and he was Indian.
The wolf.
From India. Dr. Lobo was his name. But I remember getting whooping cough. Oh, terrible, terrible. And he would come to the house to see me. And doctors made home visits back then. That's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But I wish more doctors did it. I really do.
And they need to, and I passionately say for any physicians who are out there that are looking for a course to take in this difficult time of medicine, doing house calls, especially on our elder seniors, is an important aspect of assuring that this part of the population stays in their home and is allowed to live
This is
their
why
life.
I think that would be important, is because if the doctor is inside his medical, rooms, and you're looking at the same four walls, that seems to be, like
Sanitized.
Yeah, that's a great word, sanitize. You have only the perspective of those rooms. But when you get into someone's home, there's something I think that happens to the human spirit as a doctor. You start to look around and you're in their environment. You start your walls start to come down a little bit. You start to become a little bit more compassionate. There's things, I bet, when you walk into someone's home, you can see, maybe you can look around and give them some advice that they can't see. Maybe
That's right.
maybe there's something in the home that maybe there's a toxic mold, or there's something that's going on that you can see that you can't see from your office. every great, detective or any great professional knows every once in a while they got to get out of their own context of the space that they're in just to get new perspective. Sometimes you got to go out to the field and see what's going on. You got to get yourself immersed amongst their surroundings, their environment. And I think that's just another level of being a great doctor is, giving yourself permission, even if you do it just once a month. Go once a month, see if there's an opening for you. See if you have a different perspective that goes, you know what? I'm going to start going twice a month. And then maybe it just becomes something that you do regularly just to get out of those four walls that you see every day, all day long. I just feel like it lacks some kind of love and connection, and something spiritual I think is missing inside of just the walls that seem so.
In the office or in the hospital. Exactly.
Get out and get to the nitty gritty. Get to where they're at. Look at the environment. Feel all of it, and be a part of.
That's right, and I agree with what you say. You can get a better idea of that patient's way of life.
That's right.
And be able to maybe get inside a little bit more. Inside the person a little bit more.
And it not only applies to doctors, though. When I walk into a home for the first time, right away, as I've said on this show before, I'm looking at the walls of the hallway or the foyer, seeing the pictures and the photos, the hallway itself, getting into the dining room and living room, seeing a piano there, a Bible there, some diplomas there, things like that. Gives me the whole idea of the background of that individual.
Yeah.
But, when you come in also, and I open the refrigerator door. If they have pets, I look to see how their pets are fed. When they have their medicines, I'm asking them, are your medicines, let me see how you're taking your medicines, because sometimes they're not taking it correctly, and that sometimes puts them into the hospital. So it is being a detective. It's trying to understand where that person is coming from by the clues that are presented in front of you. The sanitize and sterilize offices and hospitals where we see people, they're just ill. And you're just getting the symptoms of their illness, but you're not understanding
I can see
the
that.
backdrop of where they're coming from, that, maybe the mold.
And that's why Barbara called you out and said you're a rare breed, because people, a lot of doctors don't see the value of that, or maybe have lost it, or never learned it. They probably never learned it. They came in already with the technical mindset, and they just think they're born into that era of technology, and that's just the way it is for them. But maybe you can mentor some of these young doctors and open up new possibilities.
You
for them.
have to convince the medical system itself how important and needy our society is for this kind of care. And that's the challenge, because sometimes it doesn't, how we can practice is not parallel how we might get paid from the insurance companies or Medicare or anybody else. When I first started doing house calls paid a lot less than even an office call. That makes sense. I'm driving around Santa Clarita using my gas, spending time at a traffic light, and I don't get paid for that. But for a decade, I wrote Medicare and said, I am saving you millions of dollars, keeping patients in their home and not going to the hospital. And the light went on about 10 years ago, where they said, hey, you're right. This is great, and we're going to pay you more. So now they pay me very well to do house calls, and I think others should put themselves into this pot and say, yeah, I need to be doing this too, not only because they will get paid, but because they will benefit those seniors who are out living on their own.
So I'm going to end this segment with this last thing. Just like now the schools are starting to transition where people are having options. So instead of the traditional public schools, people are now having options to either do charter school or private school, so that you can find the custom school that works for the learning of your child. And I think that this is something that's coming down the pipeline, is find yourself a doctor that works for you and your family. And I think that you might start to see some people that want a customized system of how they get treated when it comes to the healthcare industry. And you could be on the forefront of something that stumbles upon the doctor that comes specifically towards a certain type of family that wants house calls.
Yeah, certainly I don't want to be sterilized or sanitized. But we're going to take a break. We're talking with Alex Urbina about a lot of different aspects of life coaching, especially related to our seniors, on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.